Hey, everybody, we're going to go ahead and uh, hand the microphone over to Dave here in just a couple minutes. I just want to go over a couple things with everybody. Um, for anybody interested, if you haven't seen the chapter's emails or notifications, I'll be handing out a flyer on this. But we have a workshop on the topic of APIs and security, governance, how a company can understand what the risk is and build a program. The chapter has teamed up with an organization out of Canada called Teej Lab, and we're going to be doing 4 workshops over the 12-month period, teaching and walking everybody through how you can build a program on it. The first one is December 2nd from 4 to 8. It's online. It's available at no cost, open to the public. So if anybody here is interested, encourage you to check it out. And if you know of anybody that might be interested, please feel free to invite them as well. So we'll be passing out a flyer on this. And as Dave's working through his presentation, there's a worksheet he's got that I'll cruise around and hand him out at that time for everybody. And for anybody online, we're recording this and we'll have a PDF copy of this available online so you can see it and work through it as well after the presentation today. If nobody has any questions, for those of you that are online, I'll be on a laptop over there fielding. Drop any questions or comments into chat and we'll relay them over to Dave. But other than that, I will hand it over to you, sir, and we'll get the party rolling.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. So why did the cybersecurity expert get promoted? Because they cracked the code to success. Yes, I'm a dad, so you're going to get a dad joke, cybersecurity joke. So how does a kid with ADHD and other mental health issues become the athlete with the most gold medals in Olympic history? You may have guessed I'm talking about Michael Phelps, the swimmer. You may or may not have known that as a child, he was diagnosed with ADHD. He trained for 6 hours a day, 6 days a week for years on end. And he's at 31, he won 5 gold medals and 1 silver at the 2016 Rio Olympics. 31's old for an athlete. I'm glad 31 isn't old for an IT professional. So how did he do this? So first he set a goal for success, define what success is, right? Become the athlete with the most gold medals in Olympic history. Simple, easy, clear. He then, with his coach, Bob Bowman, created a plan that included goals, small actionable steps, diet, exercise in the pool, in the weight room, sleep, right? So he had a plan, knew exactly what he wanted to do and how to get there. Kind of sounds like what cyber people do. Create a plan, define success, list the steps, and take action. One additional thing he did was he visualized success at every step of the way. Every practice, every meet, every race, he visualized success over and over. And by following his plan and achieving the small goals, he built the confidence in his belief, which became, after success, inevitable that he was going to be the athlete with the most gold medals in Olympic history. So I hope as IT professionals that you see the amazing skill set you have to get things done. You know how to define what success is, create goals and milestones, list out the tasks, right? Gather data, measure your results. And when things go a little sideways, as happens in life, adjust, come up with solutions, think on your feet, and create an environment where success can happen. So I know as cyber professionals, we're involved with a lot of projects at work. And you may not have thought about it this way before, but your life and career are projects. They definitely have a beginning and an end, and goals and milestones to achieve along the way. We're used to following the best practices. The PMO puts out a process for being successful at projects. So we're used to following these things and creating success and being successful. So you do it for companies, you do it for other people. Why not do it for yourself? So how many people are here because you submitted a bunch of applications and haven't gotten a lot of responses? Okay. Or you're not really happy with where you are in your career and you want to do something else, but you're not sure what's next for you. Okay. Or you want a promotion, but you just haven't gotten it yet. Well, if you answered yes to any of those, you're in the right place.
Just out of curiosity, are most people here trying to first get into the industry or do we have anybody considering transitioning, or we all pretty much trying to break in?
Something from a software engineering background, I'd like to get into something like a software security engineer potentially, or a red teaming or pen testing.
Okay.
Gotcha, okay, so you got some experience and, but just.
Oh, yeah, I mean, how to put it, when I got laid off earlier this year, I went and only studied 2 weeks before getting my CISSP, so you could say that I understand a lot.
Okay, so you got calluses. Yeah. No, right on. No,
Awesome.
appreciate it. I just to Dave to help you.
Yeah, that's great. And everything I say today is going to apply to whether you're just getting in industry, wanting to transition to a different role, or want to get that promotion and learn how to move ahead in your career. So give yourself kudos for being here today and prioritizing success for you, for doing more than what you're told, and for looking to chart a path to success as defined by you. So let me tell you a little bit about how I came to be here today. So I was an IT project management professional for a long time, and I did just about everything. So sysadmin, network engineer, project manager, tech support, IT manager, IT director, budget, strategy, all of those things. And so one day I'm going to write a book, and it's called Life is a Project, Manage It Well. Because believe it or not, we are all project managers in our life. And some of us do that for a job or as part of our job. And so early in my career, I just took jobs that gave me experience, got me a good title and good pay. And that's all I focused on. And I figured, hey, if I just get through the interview, I'm going to be successful and I'll work hard and it'll all work out. And that worked for a while. And then some things happened in my life, and some of them not good. And when I had the success, I felt somewhat successful, but really that success was defined by others. And that success was the thank yous that I got from people. I didn't define success for me. I just assumed if they said I was successful, I was going to be successful and happy. So like I said, a few things happened. There was a merger, got laid off, wasn't expecting that. Went through a divorce, had some health issues. So for me, that was rock bottom. And so I sat down and I started asking myself some hard questions. Is this working for me? Is what I'm doing getting me towards success? And obviously the answer was no. And so I decided that something had to change, and had to change now. So the first thing that I did is I changed the no, I can't, and I won't to yes, I can, and I will. Right? And then I decided that I was going to figure out how to be successful because I saw people that were happy and successful in their career. And you've seen these people, they walk into the room, they look like they're confident and sure of themselves, and they seem to know a lot of people, and things seem to be easy for them. And I said, I want that. That's what I'm looking for. I want to make a difference, and I want to feel that the way that I see how they feel. Right? So I look back at the projects that were successful in my career. Some I was a part of, some I led, and I figured out what was the common elements between those. So I basically became my own project manager and created my own success plan. And I find that the people that I look up to, my mentors, they all had success plans. They all had plans where they knew what they were going, knew what the next step was. So I know a guy who works for Microsoft. He had his own company, cyber, does pen tests for fun. Now he went to work for Microsoft. He's been there for a while. He always has his eye on that next role. And he's always working on the skills and experience and the relationships needed that are going to get him that next role. Okay. So I identified what my most important values were, how I wanted to feel about myself and my career, and what were the requirements for me, a job. Did I want to travel? Did I want hybrid? Right? What kind of people did I want to work with? What kinds of things did I want to be involved in? What kind of companies did I want to work for? Because at the end of the day, it's not as important what we do, it's how we feel about what we do is the critical factor in whether you feel successful in your career. Okay. So then I documented what my role and career requirements were. I had a must-haves, must-not-haves, and may-haves list. So I had my requirements. And then I searched for a career by doing my research and talking to a lot of people to find the career that met my requirements. So once I had that, I felt confident that I was on the right path to a career that was going to make me feel successful. Okay. Once I had that career selected, I identified the skills and experience needed to be successful, created that plan, and took action. So once I did that, do you think then I found success and fulfillment in my career? Absolutely. Because I acted in a way in alignment with who I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. Okay. So as part of my IT career and life coaching practice, I developed a process around clarity because I found that most people who are struggling don't have clarity about what they want to do and who they want to be. Right? So the I in clarity is for integrity. And my definition of integrity means that you think positively about it, you feel good about it, and physically you're energized by it. You're excited for what you're going to be involved in, excited about what you're going to be able to do and the impact that it's going to have. So what do you think happens when you act with integrity? Anybody?
Someone's got to answer. It's total alignment with your goals, like how you act, how you speak, and how you feel. How you do your job. It's just all of it is in alignment. So
right. And the end result of that is you're proud of what you do. You're excited to tell people. Right. You feel good on a daily basis. It's a consistent feeling that you have getting up in the morning, going to work, going to do the things in your life that make you feel whole. So the big message for today is you are in control of your life and your career. Right? And what we're going to talk about today is the best practices and the mindset that are going to help you plan and get what you want in your career and your life. Okay, so let's go over the agenda for today. So first, contrary to what I've heard from some people, there are jobs out there. Yes. What's your why? What motivates you? What gets you out of bed in the morning? What sets candidates apart? A lot of candidates right now. What's going to set you apart? What are the best practices that deliver results? How do you get the job? What works and what doesn't work? And then once you have that job, okay, how do I move forward? How do I be successful in this role? All right, so let's take a look at the job market. So the Bureau of Labor Statistics keeps track of the job market. And they say that on average, you're going to have 14 jobs in your career. And at each job, you're going to be there a little less than 3 years. So for somebody who's been there 5, 10 years at a current role, congratulations. You've beaten the average. Okay. So, like I said, I've heard from clients and people that there's no jobs out there and the job market is hard. Well, that's half right. It absolutely is hard to put yourself out there. Go to networking events, go to interviews, applications, wait for answers. Not easy, I get it, been there. But the other side of the coin, there are jobs, right? So I just did some easy searches on LinkedIn. And I just searched for the keyword of cybersecurity. I got over 56,000 jobs that have cybersecurity somewhere in that job description. So congratulations, you picked a growing career that there's lots of jobs available. Okay, so I dug a little deeper, searched for cybersecurity engineer in San Diego. What did I get? 327. I even dug a little deeper and searched for chief information security officer, CISOs. 20 posted jobs. Okay, and with the sensitivity around a CISO role, a lot of those jobs are not posted. Okay. So why LinkedIn? Why does everybody talk about LinkedIn for jobs? Okay, so let me give you some stats because LinkedIn is like for jobs like Google is for search. Did you know that there's 930 million LinkedIn users in the world? That's almost 3 times the population of the United States. Okay. There are 67 million companies on LinkedIn. Right? And basically 3 out of 4 recruiters are going to look at your resume, look at your LinkedIn profile as part of the job, hiring process. So first suggestion of the day, spend some time on your LinkedIn profile. Okay. This is something that I help clients a ton with. So what does this all mean? That the largest concentration of companies, people who work at those companies, and jobs are on LinkedIn.
Just out of curiosity, how many of you feel like your LinkedIn profile is up to date? Seriously, yeah, kudos, because not only is it important there, but it's where it's getting scammed, whether regardless of what we're doing, it's being indexed and that information's out there. And it is considered by the platform for what we're talking about.
Absolutely right now. There's nothing else even close. Right? What are LinkedIn's competitors? Monster? Indeed? Not really. Dice? Not really. Yeah, for job postings, that's great. But that's about it. So recently I heard the statistic that 46% of people are actively looking for a new role. So people are moving around a lot. And for those of you who think, oh, maybe there's not a lot of jobs, scroll through your LinkedIn feed. I do it every day and I see plenty of people announcing, hey, I'm excited that I've joined X company as an information security analyst. I see it every single day. So the bottom line here is there are jobs available, and some of those jobs are cybersecurity jobs in San Diego. Okay, so now let's talk about what motivates you. Why do we do what we do? How do we make our choices? Okay, it all starts with our values and our beliefs around those values. So what are values? They're what's important to us. They determine what we do with our time and how we look at how we spend our time, whether it was bad or good. Where did these values come from? They come from our family. They come from our friends, our religion, or lack of, or our school, geography, economics, and unfortunately, the media. Okay, so beliefs are these convictions that are related to our values that help us see the world in a particular way and that we trust as being true. So for example, if you have a value of fairness, right, you're going to have some beliefs around that the justice system should treat everybody fairly. There should be policies in place at work that distribute bonuses and promotions fairly. Or employees should be judged on their performance alone, right? Not how they look or what they wear, right? That would be fair. Okay. And these beliefs that surround our values, they drive our emotions, which then drive our behavior. Okay. So, for example, if fairness was really important to you and Jim got a promotion at work, how would you judge whether that promotion was good or bad? You would decide whether that was fair, whether Jim deserved it. So if Jim deserved that promotion, you'd feel great. Congratulate Jim. Congratulations, you deserved it. You worked hard. Congratulations. You'd feel good about not just that Jim got a promotion, but you'd feel good about the company that you work for, that they treated people fairly. Right? So these values and beliefs, they drive our emotions. Any questions so far about this? Okay. So everything we do is driven by an emotion, something we want to feel more of, or don't want to feel. Okay. Why do we help a friend? Makes us feel good. I'm a good friend. Why do we work hard at a job? So we can feel safe, so we can have a purpose, right? I worked hard today, right? Why do we stay in relationships when they get hard? Because we want to feel loved. We don't want to be alone. We want to say to ourselves, I stuck with it. I stuck in there and it worked out. I'm proud of myself. Or do we volunteer so we can be proud that we're able to help another person? Okay. Want to make a difference. So then emotions, they drive our behavior. Right? So here's an example. So if I believe in fairness, I'm going to make an extra effort to be fair. Right? And I'm going to want to be around people who believe in fairness like I do and treat people that way. I'm going to feel good about the people I associate with because we share values. Right? So what do we do based on these values? How do we act so we can feel good about that we're being fair? Maybe we give all the kids the same amount of money for their birthday. Maybe we meet with every team member 30 minutes a week, no matter what. So we give everybody the same attention. That's fair. Maybe you don't let people cut in line, because that wouldn't be fair to all those people that were waiting for half an hour behind you. Okay. Let's take another example, respect. You may have a value of respect. It may be very important to you. Okay, so you're going to have some beliefs around that. Children shouldn't argue with their parents. They should listen and do what they're told. Anybody heard that before? Well, you always call a doctor. They've gone to school, they've earned it, they deserve that respect. Or you must respect your elders. Okay, so you're going to have some emotions related to this value of respect. It makes me mad when I see kids talk back to their parents. That's so disrespectful. You know, Diane, she said before when she asked the question to the veteran, she said, "Sir, wow, her parents must have raised her right." Right? Now it's bringing behavior. So somebody who values respect, it's important to them. They're going to live that value. They're going to hold doors open for women and elderly. They're going to not raise their voice to their parents, right? They're going to not interrupt their boss or the CEO when they're talking, because respect is important to them. Okay. So now do you see how your values, your beliefs around those values create the emotions that drive your behavior? Everybody on board with that? Okay, cool. So the more we know what our values are, the more we can live those values. And obviously, when you live those values, you're more successful, you're happier, you're more relaxed, you're more confident in who you are. You're proud of how you act because it aligns with who you are. So how does this impact your daily life? Right? So when you're in touch with your values, you have this criteria for success. And you know when things are good and things are bad. Right? You have this set of requirements that lead you to make decisions that are better for you. Right? And you look out for yourself and you prioritize yourself as number one. Okay? So when you're aligned with these values and you find a role in an organization that matches those values, now you have a much higher chance of being successful in that role, engaging with the culture, building relationships, and staying there for a while. Right? This is what they call it when they say good fit. You're a good fit for this role, or you're not a good fit for this role. They're looking at the values, how well you're going to fit with the team, the values of the organization. Okay. So let me tell you about a client of mine. So this guy, Travis, he was a sergeant in the Marines. Once he left the Marines, he got a job in software sales. Did that for a little while. Wasn't a happy camper. Turns out about a year in, there was a merger. And just that month, some deals slipped, and he happened to be in the bottom 20%. Bye-bye, Travis. Right? So they let him go. So he applied for a bunch of jobs, didn't get a lot of responses. So he came to me going, "Hey, I don't know what I want to do. I did this, I didn't like it. And now I don't know what to do. I applied for jobs, haven't done anything." So we sat down and did a values exercise, which we're going to do in a minute. And his top value was being driven. So I asked him the question. I said, "Okay, what would driven Travis do in this situation? Right? How can you act in a way that aligns with your values, your identity?" So he decided that he was going to print out, he had identified an organization that he wanted to work for. So it was a growing retail organization outdoors, so like a Bass Pro Shops kind of place. And he had been in there and he loved the environment. He loved how the store was set up. He loved his interaction with the employees. He liked the values of the company, and they were growing. So he decided that he was going to print out his resume and go down there and talk to the manager. So he did, and the manager, what they call the chief of staff, was available. So he sat down with Travis and had a conversation. And with Travis being in alignment with who he wanted to be and what he wanted to do, his passion for the outdoors and specifics about what he liked about the company, and that he wanted to be part of growing the organization. Well, what do you know? He was working within 2 weeks. So we got off on the right foot. A month goes by, and the executives are going to a trade show in Las Vegas for a week. So we sat down and he set some goals for the week, wrote them down, had them on an index card. He showed me, and he looked at those at least 3 times a day. In the morning before work, at some point during the day, picked his head up on a break, lunch, whatever, and at night before he went to bed to review where he was and adjust if needed. So a week goes by, the executive team comes back, and his boss, the chief of staff, what does he see? Well, Travis crushed his sales goal by 60%. He had built relationships in the organization. People are saying, hi, Travis. And the chief of staff thought, this guy's only been here a month and he knows all these people. And he worked with 2 different people to come up with 2 different processes that they could improve and brought those ideas to his boss. You think his boss was impressed? Absolutely. So another month goes by and the company decides to create this new service offering. So being an outdoor company, it's outings. So it's travel, it's gear, it's food, it's lodging, it's activities. So high dollar, high margin business. Okay. They put Travis on the team that was designing and implementing that service offering. For a guy who had been there 2 months, maybe. Right. And this was going to be a key lever in the company's ability to grow and expand in the way that they wanted to. So very quickly, he acted in alignment with who he was and wanted to do, planned for success, and what do you know what happened? Right? Not magic at all. Okay. Right. So these values, how do I use them? Okay. This is what you lean into when you do your resume, your LinkedIn profile, your cover letters. This is your brand, your reputation. This is part of your elevator pitch. This is what you communicate to people other than the skills. Right. And when you can speak passionately and you're in alignment, do you think the other person feels that? Absolutely. Absolutely. You all have sensors and antenna up all the time. We'll talk about communication later. It happens without you saying a word. Right. So when you're in alignment, it comes across to everybody you meet. You take it in every interaction, every email, every message, every conversation. Okay. So we're going to do a values assessment here. And let me show you what I did. Give you. So the first part is the top section, broken in 2 on the slide here. Just dump out your values. What's important to you? Right. So for me, it's value and positivity and variation and fairness and clarity. That clarity is a big deal for me. Right. Teamwork, being driven. Right. And once you dump those out, and I want you to do it quickly, don't think about this too much. You know what these are. These are who you are. Step 2, rank them in order. Okay, you get a worksheet here. Dave's handing out a worksheet. And for those of you online, just grab a piece of paper and a pen or Excel, right? This isn't fancy. You can do this yourself. There will be a PDF online after, but I encourage you to just grab a piece of paper. Right? And then take a look at that list and say, hey, is this me? Are these my values are they in the right order? If they are, great. And if they're not, change it. And then go, okay, is this right? Okay. And if you get stuck deciding between 2 values and where they go, the one on the top is the one that you pick if you had to pick one of those 2. Right? Think about the most important events in your life and what you got out of them. And what motivates you, what excites you, what makes you feel good. Okay, so we're going to take 10 minutes for this. It's 12:36. We'll get back together at 12:46, and I'll be around for questions. Does anybody have any questions before we get started? Okay.
Do you have any advice for people as they're going, like, let's say you've never done a values assessment before in your life?
Yeah.
Do you give anybody any guidelines on, like, where do I start? Like, thinking about it.
Think about the important things in your life and what's important to you and what fires you up, positively or negatively. Right. So adding value is a big deal for me. That's why value is number 1. So if every person here and online, if you just take one thing from today's discussion that helps you, then I've done my job and I'm going to feel great because I've added value. Right? Now, another one for me is fairness. It's number 3. So when I see people being treated unfairly, it bugs me. So that's not right. You know, everybody should be treated fairly. That's a basic, to me, that's a basic human right to be treated fairly in this world. And when it doesn't happen, I get fired. So I hope that answers your question.
But I wanted to add a comment on that with you mentioning, things that fire out negatively. Another way you can look at it is, you know, just definitively what you don't want. And so you can look at what's the opposite of that.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, all positive. So let me take just 1 second and talk about motivation here. Fear, negative emotion, really great short-term motivator. Right? I want to get away from the saber-tooth tiger. Right? I'm motivated now. I'm going to run as fast as I can. Then when I get away from that saber-tooth tiger, well, that motivation is gone. Right? Now I can hang out. Right? Now my motivation is success. Right? That's a long-term motivator that you can continually work towards and continually redefine. So thank you for that. If your thought is negative, immediately think, what's the opposite of that?
Great.
I appreciate it. All right, 12:38. So let's start. I'll be around for questions. And if you're done early, I suggest you share your values with your neighbor and talk about why those things are important to you.
Hey, Jay, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
This actually came up on a semi-related thing. Where these are values, and I was working with somebody on a kind of a personality evaluation.
Okay.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the questions were more like, do you prefer to build things or break things? Do you prefer to work in a group, or do you prefer to work individually? Would you take things like that and could we take things like that and maybe translate those into what you have as values.
Those are more environmental. Right?
Okay.
So you could like to build things, but like to build things on your own. Or you like to build things as part of a team. Right? But the core part of that is you like to build things.
Right.
If you want to summarize that even more, you can almost go with the creation as being a value there. Or
Creativity.
Depending if you're say modifying
Yep.
something existing or creating something from thin air, if you will.
Absolutely. I have a buddy, he's a tech guy, and he just constantly is learning something new, constantly. Whether it's making the best bread on earth, it's building circuit boards, designing and building circuit boards for his hot rod, it's learning AI, it's 3D printing. He's always on the hunt for something new to learn. Always. That's just who he is. Whether he does that by himself or whether he does that with other people.
So that would more fall like under driven. In that way,
Driven or curiosity
okay,
is one that I see a lot.
okay.
Like-
And the reason I asked and just kind of share it with everybody is that some people were answering the questions. It was helping them do a little bit more of a self-evaluation. Or having the opportunity to maybe see themselves through a different lens than they normally might have.
Right, and so things like that, whether it's DISC or Myers-Briggs or MMPI, there's all kinds of these personality tests. They're really good at helping you find the environment that's going to work best for you.
Yeah, and this wasn't like a disc sort of thing where it
Yeah.
got into that much detail. It's actually a platform to try and help somebody more strategically understand what their potential career path within information security could be. So it kind of aligned, that's where, so, and I probably should have said that first, but to give that a little more context as to, do you like to build things?
Gotcha.
Break things?
Yeah,
You know, working in a group,
right,
and it seemed to help some people better, you know. You don't take the introvert and put them in sales,
right,
kind of a thing.
exactly.
You know, and it kind of just helps some people maybe see themselves a little, understand what more of those instinctual reactions to environment and
Correct.
stuff like that could be.
Because some headline here is this brain up here, your conscious mind is not steering the car. It's your unconscious that's steering the car. And your unconscious has these values. Right? You know, you get that little voice inside of you that says, do this, it's going to be good for you, and you ignore that. Usually doesn't turn out well. And when you follow your instincts that tell you, hey, this is going to be good for me, and you don't let fear and other things get in your way, what do you know? You're pretty darn stoked that you did it. And you're grateful that you did those things. And it becomes part of who you are. So for me, I'll tell you personally, that rock bottom that I mentioned before, I would not trade that for the world. That is a core component of who I am. And no matter what situation I'm in now, I can look back at that and go, you know what? Not as bad as that. I'm going to get through this. Because there was a time when I didn't believe that I was going to get through it. That I was going to find success and happiness in my life. And I have it. And so anything that comes up is just an obstacle. And that's it. Or a challenge I'm going to overcome.
I wrote on my list, tackling difficult problems that matter. How would I characterize that as a value?
So if you had to say that in one word, what would that be?
Big challenges or challenges?
Challenge. Right? Part of who you are is you want to be challenged. Right? Could call it purpose. Right? It's whatever word hits home for you.
Yeah, and Rocco, do you want to do those to make a difference, or just because they have more value than maybe the other thing?
Well, that's what I meant by that matter.
Okay, yeah.
It's like, what problem, if you solve a problem, what does that mean? What are the implications of solving the problem?
Yeah.
Yeah, so value, that's, I'm struggling with this kind of one word, right? So this is, I don't want just a challenge for challenge's sake, I want a challenge that has,
Yeah,
has an ending or has a, if it's successful, then it actually means something. Yeah, meaning.
Yeah, so for me, that add value, you could give me a job that pays $250,000 a year and I didn't have to do jack. I'm not gonna be happy. I'll tell you right now, it would drive me crazy. Cause I'm not adding value to anybody or anything. I'm just passing time. No, no, thank you. I've learned that about myself.
Yeah, and it's not one word, but maybe to make a difference.
Everybody done? Yeah? Okay, so somebody give me some feedback. How was that?
You know, it's a kind of hone in on what really drives you.
Yeah. What the most important things are in this world, in the sea of distractions and sea of competing interests. What's going to drive your success and your fulfillment? Absolutely. I'm guessing, oh, go ahead.
I just think this is a super powerful exercise because, you know, you can work for any company, but if the company is not in alignment with what you want or what your day job is within that company, you're just like you said, you're not gonna be happy. And I've done this before, but I like what you said about flipping the negative. Because I never looked at it from that perspective, like, what do I hate? And then put it to the positive, so that was good.
Cool. Yeah, you're all smart people. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're all smart people. You can all go get a job tomorrow.
Well, what's the Sherlock Holmes line? If you don't know what it is, get a better idea of what it isn't. Yeah.
Okay, so a little homework, a little challenge, if you're willing to take it. Take these values and see there's a third column that says next step. So think about the next easiest, smallest thing that you can do to live that value more in your life. And make a note of that and do that and see what happens. So what I do with clients is we take these values and we rate how on a 1 to 10 scale, 0 to 10 scale, how much you're living that value in your life. I mean, I'm a green belt 6 Sigma, so I know this. So then you do the action, you start a new habit, you do whatever it is, and then you rate it again after a reasonable time. And my guess is most of that time, and with my clients, it makes a huge difference. Because they feel better, they feel more okay, more relaxed. Okay. Any other comments? Okay.
Did anybody put something down that surprised them? So they can see what they need.
I do. It's a two-word value. And it's not meant to be redundant, but it's interesting perspective. Sharing value. Sharing what may have developed over time, sharing with others to bring value to them sooner than maybe the value came to you. And then they can then elevate beyond, they can accelerate beyond where you were at whatever level in a professional career. So sharing value is one that I wrote down. It surprised me.
And I am not shocked in any way, shape, or form, because that's why you go out of your way on whatever night of the week it is to teach a class, when you could be doing all kinds of other things. Netflix is waiting.
Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday night. Yeah. So you do that because it enriches your life and it's in alignment with a core value of yours. And you feel great about it. I'm sure you're proud of it. Exactly. All right. So now let's move on and talk about what sets candidates apart. Now, these are no particular order. Passion, right? This is what you lead with. This is what sets you apart, right? So Do you think people want to work with people who are passionate about what they do? Absolutely. Right? I'm passionate about something. I don't want to work with somebody who couldn't care less. Right? That's not going to work for me. That's a struggle. And I'm sure you've all experienced that in one point or another in your life. You wonder, why is this person even here? Right? They're bringing me down. They're bringing the team down. No fun. So let's say you work at a law firm and your job is to hire the next lawyer. Okay, you got two candidates, went to roughly the same level of law school, the same experience. So candidate one says, you know what? I'm a good lawyer, as you could see by my resume. And what I love about being a lawyer is what it gives me. You know, I got the house, I got the car, right? I got the timeshare, right? It allows me to live my life the way that I want to live. Okay. Right now you have candidate two who says, you know, I love being a lawyer. I love putting a puzzle together of all the evidence and telling a story to the jury and helping out the little guy and making things right for people. Okay. So which one of those candidates, one or two, do you think is going to stay a little later, go the extra mile for their clients? Right? Which one? Two. Right? Which one are you going to hire? Easy. Number two. Okay. So this is what you use in your elevator pitch and all of these things. This is what you communicate in your about section in your LinkedIn profile. I very much encourage you in your LinkedIn profile, especially the about section, use every character you can. I think the limit's 2,000 right now. Right? Be specific and talk about your passion. And talk about why and what results that has created for you. That's part of what's going to set you apart. And it's what people are going to remember when you meet them at a networking event and you talk to them and you talk about your passion. They're going to remember Dave has that passion, right? Because that emotion comes out and it communicates. Okay. Number two, skills, really easy, right? If you look at 20 job descriptions for the same role and they all say you need your CISSP, well, shoot, there's all kinds of resources out there that are free and available. Go get it. All right. This is great. Okay. Number three, preparation and search strategy. I don't want to prioritize it. This is a huge one, right? Do you have an elevator pitch? Is your LinkedIn profile up to date and filled out? Does it match your resume? Right? This is preparation, right? And your search strategy, we're going to talk about this. How are you looking for roles? How are you identifying these roles? How are you applying for these roles? Huge. There's a big gap between the things that work and the things that don't. Okay. Discipline, everybody's favorite. Discipline means doing the things that you know lead to success, whether you like it or not. And having the belief that, hey, if I do what works, it will work. Right? That's what's going to help set you apart is consistently showing up, consistently updating your LinkedIn profile, consistently networking, consistently posting, consistency learning. And think about what kind of story you have to tell when you meet somebody and you could tell them about all the things you've been doing and that you've been consistent. Right? They're going to go, oh, well, if he's consistent before he works here, he's going to be consistent here. I want the person who's consistent because that's a requirement for this role. Right? Connection. People hire people. Until AI does it for us, people are making these decisions. Right? In your interview, they don't remember every word you said, but they definitely remember how they feel about you. The guy may be qualified, but you know what? I just have this feeling it's not gonna work here. This other candidate may not have this skill, but I really, we could teach them that thing. I know they're going to be successful. Right? And I'll give you two stories here about this. The first one is I managed a developer, I managed a team, developer on it. And we did a lot of great things. together, made a real impact on the organization I work for and its customers. Life-changing impact. So as it happens, he went his way, I went my way, didn't talk to him for a while. So he reached out to me a few years later and said, "Hey, Dave, I'm over here. I'm at a bank in business intelligence, and my boss is leaving. They're going to be looking for somebody else. Let me tell you about the role, see if you're interested." And so he did, and aligned with the things that I wanted to do. So I said, "Yeah, I'm interested." So he invited me to lunch with the team. Right, so I got even more exposure. So I met the team, a lot of smart individuals, really good folks. And so he referred me to the role. Of course, I got an interview because he talked me up to the hiring manager and got the job. Right, so I asked him after, I go, besides the referral bonus, why'd you reach out to me? He said, "Because I liked working with you before. You were a good boss. You helped me be successful. You trusted me. And I could see myself working for you again." And I said, "Oh, thank you so much." And I carry that compliment with me to this day. It's a big deal. All right, story number 2. So when I was at this bank, business intelligence, so we provided data to a lot of people in the bank. And one of our customers was this product analysts. So they were evaluating how successful products were, designing new products, forecasting. And so they really used our data a lot. And after a couple of years I was there, the manager of that group, who actually managed several other groups, left, and they brought in this new person. So about 45 days later, and I know some of you have seen this, her right hand shows up from the place that they worked before, the other bank. Right? Then over the next 18 to 24 months, at least 6 more people, between 6 and 8, came over from that other bank to work there. So they basically migrated most of the team. Right? And if you notice in some industries, that happens a lot. Why does that happen? It's because they know from experience that they like working with these people, that they can trust these people. Right? So yeah, maybe they use a different tool now, and they use it versus the one they used before. And somebody doesn't know it. That's fine. We'll teach them, because that connection and that relationship is more important, and they have confidence in that person. They're willing to go out of their way to spend a little bit of time teaching them the tool. Okay, because they have a track record of success. And number 6, this is my favorite. It's not about you. We are wired to take care of ourselves first. So when you're in an interview, it's not about proving everything that you can do and all of your skills. They're going to test you on that, possibly ask you a couple questions, but you wouldn't even be there if they didn't have some high level of confidence that you could do the job. They're not going to waste their time in interview. Right? What's important is, what are the priorities of the manager and the company, and can you help them meet their priorities? Right? Can they help me meet my goals that I'm being evaluated on? Will they work well with the team? Right? Anybody read 7 Habits? Stephen Covey. Okay. One of my favorite books.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. Well, there's a reason they've sold 40 million copies. Because it leads to success. I don't know if you know, he's a San Diego guy, and his son wrote a kid's version. They actually teach it at my son's school. Man, that would have helped me a lot in middle school if I learned these things.
Sure.
Right? So I'm a huge fan of habit number 4, which is win-win. I actually like to go for win-win-win or win-win-win-win. Because I know that when everybody wins, success happens.
Another book, if I can.
Yeah.
If anybody here is familiar with Simon Sinek.
Oh, Simon's great.
Yeah, one of the books he wrote is Start with Why. And it's an excellent read of kind of understanding yourself. It ties directly into number one. And it helps you identify really what your passions are as an individual. And he takes that and then he compares different leaders. And what is the difference between Bill Gates and Steve Jobs? And it was the passion that Steve Jobs had. And that if you can find what you're passionate about, it's contagious and people will pick up on it. And the way he defines it is that someone like Steve Jobs was an inspirational leader. He would inspire those around them. And the closer we can identify or understand our passion, will inherently, the way that we communicate, we're gonna be more inspirational in those ways, because that is what's driving it, and that's what you have as number one there.
Yeah.
And so for anybody interested, it's a pretty easy read, but it's a great way to kind of just look at things that way, because even as we're all busting our ass to get that job and everything, this kind of helps us see how others are seeing us when we're going through that journey.
Yeah.
And it's kind of neat to, like you were alluding to earlier, just looking at the inverse of it. So anyway, I'll stop it.
Yeah, great. Fun fact about Steve Jobs. When he would have a problem, he'd work on it for 10 minutes. And if he didn't solve that problem, he'd go for a walk. People thought he was nuts. They proved that that works now. Right? That's where I figured it out in the shower this morning. We'd have a joke in our group because in BI world, there's tons of variables. We'd hammer at something for a couple of days, couldn't figure it out. The third day, someone would come in and go, I figured it out. And somebody would go, oh yeah, in the shower. And they go, yeah. Right? That's how it works. Because you're always thinking about it. Right? Your subconscious is always processing stuff. Okay. So if I told you the way that 2 to 3% of people got their jobs, would you do that? Would you follow that? Probably not. Now, if I told you the way that 75% of the people got their jobs, would you do that? Okay. So there's an executive recruiter, and he gathered data from over 2,000 people about how they landed their roles. Okay. So let's take the top row, over 50, or you want to make 100K a year. Half of those people got their jobs via networking. Absolutely. Right? There's a reason that people say this stuff over and over. Okay. And another 25% of those people got their jobs via targeting. Okay. 75%. Right? I'd call those best practices. And if I really wanted to find a job, I'd be doing what works. Right? Not the things that I was comfortable with or I wanted to do. Okay. And if you're changing careers on the bottom, you throw in some volunteering in the area you want to get into, 90%. Somebody tells me 90%, we're going to Vegas. Because I'm betting on that course. Okay. So do what 95% of the other job seekers are not doing. Was there 20 people here and I don't know how many online? Other people aren't doing that. They're going to lunch. They're doing whatever it is, laundry, whatever it is, right? They're not working to advance their career and get what they want. That's what the results they're going to get. So let me tell you about the usual scenario I get. People reach out to me that are job seekers. Well, I've submitted 200 applications. I've gotten exactly 4 responses. 2 no thank yous, and 2 phone screens that didn't go anywhere. Right? Well, now you know why. Right? And if you've been in transition before, you probably start out by going, you know what, I'm going to apply to 5 jobs today. Then I'm going to feel good that I was productive and then just sit on the couch and do nothing. I did something today. Then the next day feels good to check boxes and click submit. The next day you do 10. You think, man, I'm getting really productive here. All right. And that goes for a little bit. And then when you don't get the response you're looking for, kind of go, well, is that really the goal? Is it click submit? Because you could click easy apply in LinkedIn all day long. It's like a slot machine. Right? But is the goal really to get land a role? Right? Is that the ultimate goal of success? And to do that, the first goal is to get interviews. Right? So if submitting these applications isn't getting you interviews, is that really getting you what you want? Right? It feels good. You feel productive. You're moving forward. But if that's not working, what do you do? Something's not working. What do you do? Something different. Exactly. Okay. So let's talk about how to get the job. You might be surprised. But step number 1, show up as your best self. Take care of yourself. Remember that the job search is only part of your life. Don't give up everything else. So exercise, eat, sleep, hang out with friends, get out. You don't have to spend a dime. We're so lucky. I was grateful this morning when I walked out the door that I live in San Diego and it's the middle of November and it's beautiful outside. Right? And so when you take care of yourself, when you show up to a networking event, when you craft a cover letter, when you deliver your elevator pitch, people know, they get it. They get this instinctual feeling like, hey, this guy's with it, or this gal, she's got it going on. Right? So don't underestimate what taking care of yourself outside of your job search will do for your job search. Right? You've heard this, 87% of communication is not what you say. It's all these other things. And everything outside of your job search 100% affects your job search, and it affects how you perform at your job. Just think about one night if you don't get sleep and you show up in the office the next day. Not super motivated. Not building relationships, just doing the bare minimum. That's not going to get you where you want to go. Right? So take the holistic approach to life and take care of yourself along the way. Because regardless of what Agile says, your career is not a sprint. It's a marathon. And if you don't take care of yourself, you will get burned out. And if you do, you'll rise above all those other people. So we talked about do what works, network, right? So have your elevator pitch, right? Be curious, be present, be of service, and be grateful. Got to give to get, right? Ask people about their job. Ask people about what they do outside of work. Have an interest in them and getting to know them. Because those relationships will pay off over the decades of your career. I mean, it's happened for me numerous times. And that's just how it works. Okay. Any questions around this? I know this is a big topic. What I will tell you is there are amazing amount of resources on the web. Right? Networking is not rocket science. It is really actually simple. And if you engage with it, you'll never know who you're going to meet, what you're going to learn, and what's going to happen.
Everybody familiar with the multi-chapter networking event on December 4th? Yeah, okay. Yeah, once a quarter, not all the a lot of the chapters, ISACA, ISACA, all get together up at the Ale Smith Brewery. And just hang out. But it's a great opportunity. We usually get 100-ish people at those. That's what we met. Yeah. And but you get to meet familiar faces, but other people from other organizations. And it's just a great opportunity to mingle.
Networking is like anything else in your life. It's a muscle. The more you work out, that muscle gets stronger. Right? I remember my first few networking events, right? Two things to remember. One, it gets easier, I promise. And two, the people at these events are in the same situation you are. They're looking to develop relationships, to get jobs, to learn about other people, to meet other people. We live in a disconnected society now. These are the places where you become more than a piece of paper or a digital or a record in a database. Because as I mentioned, that easy apply, easy to get ignored as well. I don't know one person that has gotten a job from easy apply. I know it exists, but you're fighting upstream. Right? It's not an effective way to do that. I'm not placing bets on a team that wins 2 to 4% of the time. Right? I'm going to lose.
Just to take two things that you said in the last couple slides, two of the networking events that you're going to, have your elevator pitch ready, but then also don't just pitch people, like make it about them instead of just about you. So those are the two things, like put those together, like figure out what somebody else is looking for. If you connect them with somebody else that you already know that's looking for that thing, they're more likely to recommend you to somebody else.
Yeah. Everybody know how to do the LinkedIn QR code shuffle? If you don't, look it up. Right? That's how you build your network.
Or
Right.
generate a QR code for your personal website, and then
Absolutely. Yeah, I have one for my LinkedIn profile at the end.
If
So
you're in LinkedIn, security people will be more likely to scan it than some random QR code.
true.
Yeah.
But they don't have to follow the link. It's true.
that is very true.
But then again, I figure my personal website, not the tall, for those who didn't see me standing earlier. I'm 6'10", so I gotta stick out. My website is matthetall.site, so.
There you go.
Pretty innocuous.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. Anybody ever heard the term with them? What's in it for me? As I mentioned, we're wired to do this. So companies do these 9 things. Can't think of a company that doesn't do most, if not all of these. And remember, this is what the hiring manager is going to be judged upon and evaluated upon, are some or all of these 9 things. So you're in an interview, right? And you're trying to figure out what they're looking for. Ask. By the way, I don't usually say this word, but always have a list of questions prepared for every single interview you go on.
Something I do is, if it's a publicly traded company, I'll look at their last earnings call and see what the board was talking about.
Yep.
To investors, and bring that up in the interview, and people are always like, I didn't even know that was happening.
And what does that say about you when you talk about those things in your interview? That you're prepared, you've done your homework. Wow, if this person does their homework for the job interview, how do you think they're going to do in their job? Right? Because they're looking, when they're interviewing you, to see, they want to visualize you doing the job. And they're going to decide, is this person going to be successful? That's what they're doing in the interview.
And managing the risk of seeing, like, is this person gonna be successful, or am I gonna have to fire this person in 6 months?
Yeah.
And what's going to happen in between, how that's going to impact the team, how that's going to impact my goals as a hiring manager. Right? So here's the gold question for interviews. You've hired me. It's a year from now. We're sitting here and you're giving me a great performance review. What have I done to deserve that? You just ask, you're gonna get keys to the castle. Then you associate your stories with those goals, problems to solve, new initiatives to implement. Oh, I've done that over here and this is how I did it, or this is how I would approach it. So what that avoids is you talking for 5 minutes and the hiring manager starts looking at their phone or looking around. And at that point, you feel like you lost them because what you're talking about isn't important to them. And by the way, they just came in to the interview or sat down on Zoom and they've had to deal with 5 problems already today. That's what they're thinking of. And if you can hook into that and get them to believe that you're going to be part of the solution, you're 80% of the way there. Because I guarantee you, other candidates are not doing that. They're in the interview and they're going, I got to prove myself. Right? It's not about that. It's about how you can help solve their problems and help them meet their goals. The company, it's the same way. If the company decides that you're not helping meeting their goals, well, then you're not going to be around. Right? Because it's what's in it for them, first and foremost. And it's important that you think the same way. And so when you can find that match of what's in it for you and what's in it for them, that's that win-win that I mentioned before. That's that good fit. That's that recipe for success. And these things, these 9 things, this is what your LinkedIn profile, this is what your resume should be geared towards, showing that you can help them do one or more of these 9 things. So if you're a salesperson, right, it's all about how you can help me as a sales manager get more customers, make more money so I can meet my goals. That's what they care about, right? That's the number 1 priority. Okay. Target. You're in control, be proactive. Search out the companies and the roles and the industries that you're interested in that are going to help you be successful. I've done this. Met a guy a long time ago when Microsoft was the company to work for. He said, you know, what do you do? I told him I could do 12 things. Did I hear from that guy again? Nope. Because I wasn't specific, so he didn't have anything to anchor his memory of me to. And I didn't make it easy for him to help me. I made it really difficult. Because think about it, I said I could do 12 things. He refers me to a role. It may or may not be what I want to do. And then if it doesn't work out or I don't follow up, because I don't have a passion for that, then it's egg on his face. And his reputation gets, tarred. Right? So make it easy for people to help you and be grateful. Okay. Quick example, be specific. You may not be able to read this, but you could just tell from the amount of letters here. The first one is very extremely generic. I do these things and I have a degree. A lot of people out there like that. Doesn't tell me anything really about you and whether you're going to work in the company I'm hiring, right? Or I'm hiring for as a recruiter. Now, the second one, much more detail, uses the characters, talks about the roles, talks about exactly what this person did in those roles. So if I'm hiring for a person that does one of those roles and has to do these things, that guy's a match or that gal's a match. And by the way, you may not have realized this, but LinkedIn is like Google. There's an algorithm. There's search capabilities. I could search by keywords, right? So definitely focus on keywords, right? That's how that works. Okay. And lastly, now that I have the job, what's next? How do I continue to move forward, right? That's the start of the journey, not the end. So as we talked about a few times, define what success means for you. How do I want to feel about this, my career, this job? Write it down. And what are the things that I want to accomplish? What skills do I want to obtain? Soft and hard skills. What achievements do I want to get here? All right, I know a guy, I met him, he moved here from Texas, Houston about a year ago to build a business, and networking was a top priority for him. So he joined 6 Degrees. I don't know if you're familiar with 6 Degrees, but it's a networking group in San Diego. He was just awarded Networker of the Year because he defined success up front and then built a plan and took action to achieve that goal. Right? It didn't happen by mistake. Okay. Number 2, help others be successful. They'll remember you. Now, be choosy about who you help, but when you help other people be successful, that good karma comes back around to you in ways that you may not even think of. And they'll remember you. Just like that guy used to work for me. 3, 4, 5 years later, I don't remember exactly, he remembered me. And when that role opened up, I'm the first person he thought of. And I didn't have all the skills, and I wouldn't have gotten that job if it wasn't for him. Okay. 3, and I'm guilty of this, and sometimes my emotions got in the way. Pay attention to what they say and what they do. Have you heard the phrase, people show you who they are? Companies do too. Right? They tell you what their objectives are on these quarterly calls, monthly calls, all company. They tell you what the numbers are. They tell you what the objectives are. Pay attention. They're giving you the secrets. Right? And pay attention to what they do. Right? And a good story, I was in a company, things weren't going so well at one point, not because of the company, just kind of the industry was in a downturn. And so they said there's a hiring freeze. Okay, get it. But they were hiring over in information security as fast as they could. So even though they said there was a hiring freeze, their actions showed me actually what they were doing and who they were and what their priorities were. I just had to get out of my own way and see it for what it is and not overlay my emotions on top of it. So the K1, the quarterly calls, the metrics at the end of the year, pay attention. I was lucky, I was in business intelligence. I could kind of see how things were going. Right, and the numbers didn't lie. Right, so definitely pay attention. And as you know, I keep saying it today because it's that important, develop relationships and nurture and feed those relationships. Go to lunch with people, go have a conversation with somebody, ask them what's going on in their life. Most people don't do this. So when you do it, you're going to set yourself apart and people are going to remember you as someone who actually cared about what was going on with them in their life. Okay. Anybody ever heard of SMART goals? Okay. Well, SMART goals are great because they're specific, they're measurable, they're attainable, they're actually realistic, and they're time bound. So you know whether you achieve the goal or not. Great. What they realized is that the emotional component of that is missing. So even though you may have a clear goal, a SMART goal, that doesn't mean you're going to go after it. So they added the ER. ER is exciting and rewarding. Now, if there's that emotional component, like we've talked about before, that's going to drive the behavior to meet that goal. But if it's meaningless, then you might do it, most likely no. So that emotional component is huge. And then when you have your personal status meetings, last one, that are on the calendar, because you're taking time to sit back and evaluate where you are in your career, you can say, did I meet this goal or not? Without excuses, I either met it or I didn't. And if I did, Yahoo, I'm celebrating. That's one thing I failed to mention before, is when you achieve these goals that you set for yourself, celebrate. Decide what that reward is in advance. It's that pint of Ben and Jerry's ice cream. I might eat the whole thing after I get this done. Right? Because that's going to provide some motivation for you. We're not wired to just work. You know, and when you give kudos to yourself, it's motivating. It pushes you forward because now you get to celebrate, you get things, right, that feed your soul. Okay, so to summarize, you are in control of your career and your life. Be specific, set goals, do things that align with who you want to be and what you want to do. And as Arnold Schwarzenegger likes to say, turn your brain off and just go. So I very much appreciate your time today. And hopefully you have gotten at least one thing that is of value to you. Open it up for questions.
David, maybe you can speak to the importance of persistency with networking events. It's not just about going to one networking event one time, but it's about showing back up over time. What are your thoughts there?
Absolutely. That's that discipline part. Right? That's there's people out there that will not really talk to you or even think about referring you if they haven't seen you at 5 events. Right? Then maybe that they don't talk to you and you haven't gone up to them. But by that 4th event, when you go up and talk to them, or they may come talk to you, hey, I haven't met you yet. I've seen you at events before. Right? People are looking for proof in the pudding. Because most people aren't consistent. They don't continue to show up. It's transactional for them. Right? So there's a CIO I know, and he's been a CEO of companies down the street and other companies, you know, in San Diego. And he told me, he goes, I absolutely hate it when I haven't talked to somebody in 5 years and they reach out to me for a job. Huge turnoff for him. But the people that he knows that consistently communicate and show up, man, he's gonna do something for them. So for those folks who are getting into the industry, right, build connections on LinkedIn, ask for help, be grateful, and ask, hey, can I continue to update you on my progress? Because when you do that and you update people, I just got my Security Plus, I just got my CISSP, right? I just learned this. I'm looking at this tool. Do you use it? Right? If you do that consistently, now you have another set of eyes looking for jobs for you and roles. And when they see a role that they think is going to fit, oh, Dave, I've been talking to Dave for 2 years and he's been showing me that he really means it and he's really motivated and he keeps telling me all the things that he's been doing. So I'm going to call Jim, who's hiring, and I'm going to say, you need to talk to Dave. I feel comfortable referring Dave to you because he's done this, this, and this, and this, and this, and he continues to do things to move forward. Because I guarantee you, most people are not doing that.
We do have a question
Yeah.
from online. It's from Dorothy. I read an article that applying for jobs using an AI platform gets many more interviews than manually applying for the same amount of time just because of the sheer volume of jobs AI could apply for. This is despite errors AI would make, like putting the wrong info in application fields. What are your thoughts on these AI platforms?
Okay. Thank you for the question, Dorothy. Just like most things in this world, good and bad. Okay. So I'm a hiring manager. I have a role. These applicant tracking systems that these companies use, they have AI in them, and you put in a bunch of keywords and it filters out. Job candidate, don't love that. But if I'm a hiring manager, now instead of 100 resumes, I have 20 to go through. So that's beneficial for me. So you might have seen this if you're on the job search, especially on Instagram. Hey, I can help you apply for 200 jobs with a few clicks. That is a disservice. Because now you get people applying to jobs they're not qualified for. And so when you have these applicant tracking systems, they're filtering for keywords. If those keywords aren't on your resume, nobody's going to see it. Right? Not even a recruiter. Right? So there's a site called Teal, TEAL, HQ.com. Anybody heard of it? It's awesome. I make no money. But what they will do is you upload the job description and you upload your resume, and they will use AI to do a match. And they will tell you, oh, this isn't on your resume. It's missing this thing. Right? So what I tell people to do is, this is part of adding value, great, is use your career summary up top to answer specific things in the job description. So if you could think about, oh, if I'm an information security analyst, what are gonna be the top 3 goals that I have? Use your career summary and your bullets to answer that, to say you've done it. Right? Even if it's a skill and you're translating it, hey, I did this over here, but it's analysis. I've done analysis over here, I can do it here. Right? Because basically what you want is you want that job description and the resume hand in glove as much as possible.
I think what you just said touched on the next question.
Okay, hang on, I just have one more thing. If they say administer in the job description, that's the verb you use in your resume. Use their verbs. So what I like to do is have a base resume where, let's say for a role, I'm going to have 7 or 8 bullets. And so for each job, I'm going to rip some out and I'm going to move the order around based on the job description. And I've heard people say, oh, that takes so long. You mean I have to customize my resume for each role? Yes, you do. Or it's going to be circle filed. Right? Job search is about quality over quantity. It's not about how many applications I can submit. I met a guy just landed a role as an IT manager. He told me, I was blown away. He submitted 1,700 applications over 3 months. Yeah, exactly. My eyes got big just like that. You know what my reaction was? You're incredible. Because there's no way I could pump out 20 applications a day customized for 3 months. He did it the hard way. All right. Okay. Yeah.
Did you get any callbacks?
It took a long time. He finally landed a role. But, 1,700 blew me away. That's the most I've heard.
Well, and like I said, I think you touched on this a bit, but Sharice had asked how effective are cover letters? Do you think? Any tips to put in?
Yeah, cover letters, short and sweet. Right? Nobody wants to read a novel for a cover letter. Why do you want to work there? Be specific. Show that you've done your homework. Show it's not computer generated. One of a kind. Your cover letter should be. Why do you want to work there? What skills do you have to bring? And what experience do you have to bring to the role that is applicable to the role? I can't stress that enough. Don't include extraneous information or things that hiring manager is not going to care about. Because there's a chance that before they get to that stuff, they're going to shoo it aside. And by the way, last thing, and I know this from talking to many recruiters, you have anywhere from 6 to 10 seconds to catch their attention when they look at your resume. So that above the fold, as they say in the web, that top part better be 100% applicable to the role, because they're not going to read it any farther. That's
Yeah, and then there was one last comment from Drew. If you get a job, and this is actually going back to the AI, just chronologically how they came in here. If you get a job using AI to apply, will you know if it's for who you are or who the AI said you were? If you don't, It is because of what the AI said? AI can help and maybe shouldn't be doing everything.
AI should definitely not be doing everything. Do not just take what AI says and click submit. It's a toddler, right? It makes mistakes all the time. I was using AI to generate an image. I had to go back and forth with that thing 20 times to get what I wanted. Kept moving things.
And generated things give you the uncanny valley for whatever you're generating.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
So until AI does the hiring for us, there's still an interview process. Right.
AI making hiring decisions or any major decisions.
Yeah. So AI is helpful, just like TLHQ is helpful, but it better resonate with you because there's going to be an interviewer and they're going to ask. And if there's inconsistency between your resume and what you say, you're done. You are done because there's no trust there whatsoever. Right. And that's what they'll remember, not the 10 great things you said. They'll remember how your resume didn't match what you said. I mean, think about these people get busted, politicians, because they said they did something and they didn't do it. And their reputation is done. Their political career is over. And if you have AI say things that you're not comfortable with, that's going to come across in an interview. Right. So make sure that what comes out of AI fits with you and how you would say things. And I use AI to help me generate ideas and give me 5 different ways to say it until I can find the one that I'm really comfortable with. And I'll still probably change a few words to make it sound like me because it is.
And I just want to touch one last time on what you said earlier on how important it is or beneficial when you're in an interview and you say, hey, let's do that time machine thing. You hired me. It's 1 year from now. What is our definition of success that made you happy? What I can share with you is, and this actually happened to me yesterday. I was participating in the hiring process, not for our company. It was on behalf of a client. And at that phase of the process, I was literally given the applicant's resume 1 minute before the call started. So I could have it up there, but that person did what you said. And we were able to, even though I didn't have that, I was able to say, well, this is your potential employer's definition of success. And from there, everything that we talked about was 100% aligned towards the goal where I was able to help him. And he kind of helped meet me there on it. But be aware when you go in and you've poured yourself into the resume and the cover letter, you may be walking into a situation like that, where the other person hasn't had a chance to read what you put together. And for whatever reason, and these are some just invaluable things you're sharing on how you can potentially better leverage that for your part of the interview process. So I share that with everybody, and the other one is the Maya Angelou line of people won't remember what you said or did, they'll remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you can tap into that, those are some like really cool, unique differentiators that can work for you versus who you're competing against for the positions.
Yeah. And if I'm on the SOC team, I need to be reliable, don't I? I need to show up for work. Right. So I'm going to tell stories and talk about my experience in a way that gives the person or persons on the other side of the table for the Zoom meeting that specific feeling. So you can decide in advance, how do I want the hiring manager to feel after the interview? I want them to think that I am X, Y, and Z. Well, I'm going to focus on those things in my stories.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Cool.
Okay.
Well, thank you again.
Yeah.
Been
So here's my info. I'd love to connect with all of you, and if I can help you in your job search or your career, please reach out to me.